Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. A couple of people in my who subscribed to the channel in the comments of one of my previous videos, particularly a guy called Nick, who mentioned this a couple of times. Hello Nick, and hello the other guy, I've forgotten your name, sorry. But they mentioned this interview with David Haye on Seconds Out with Radio Rahim, and Haye stated that a week ago Derek Chisora had told him Dillain Whyte will test positive, or had tested positive. That bit's not really made clean. Made clean as a Freudian slip. Made clear. But Derek said, "I will step in place of Dillain and fight AJ." And Haye at the time says that he was like, "Well, what is he talking about?" Because Derek comes out with some cobblers, doesn't he? Sometimes some real rubbish, but. Subsequent events have proved him to be correct, and in fact Haye goes as far as to say that Derek was actually training for AJ, so he must have known, perhaps. I mean, how did he know? What, has he got a crystal ball? Has he been talking to Mystic Meg? I mean, reading his tea leaves? I mean, what the hell was going on here? He must have heard something, surely. So it does lend itself to the idea that White did not fail a test within the last 24 to 48 hours. He failed it a week ago. Now, the next question is, if he failed the test, does anyone believe that Eddie Hearn and all concerned with the promotion did not know that he'd failed that test? Because if Hearn did know, and he's continuing to take money for pay-per-views and sell tickets, what kind of a shit cunt move is that to DAZN subscribers? Do you know what I mean? I mean, come on, look. You have knowledge that someone has failed. This is a pay-per-view event, not cheap. Tickets aren't cheap to sit ringside or even up in the gods. You're going to carry on selling tickets and pay-per-views with that information. Now, if Hearn knew, I'm not saying he did know. I don't know whether he knew. I don't have any inside information, but I find it strange that Derek, unless he really was guessing, or he'd heard something through the grapevine that Eddie hadn't heard, I find it. Certainly, it does indicate that White had failed the test. I mean, maybe he hadn't. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, the whole purpose of this video really is to show what a totally sleazy, sewer of a sport this can be, especially with regard to failed tests and PEDs, the whole subject. I mean, last week we had that fantastic, incredible week which illustrated everything about boxing that's fantastic, with Inoue and Crawford and all that stuff. And now we're back. I said this on a previous video, but we're back to square one. We're back to we're down in the sewer again. Look, I don't know what's gone on, and I'm not saying Hearn knew. I don't know. But if Chisora knew, and was actually training to fight AJ, well, you've got to ask the question, where did he get the information from? Was it pure guesswork? I doubt it. And if he knew, surely someone else would have heard through the grapevine. I don't know. It'll all come out in the wash. It seems to me to be it's just a terrible black eye for boxing. I mean, I've heard people say, well, bring in... And also, David Haye, by the way, in this video was saying, it'll be a great fight, Chisora and AJ. No, it won't. It'll be an absolute mismatch. It's a horrible fight. Horrible. A man who is shot to bits, who was given a beating of his life against Fury in that complete farcical mismatch, which was done as a pay-per-view last year. Him against AJ. I know AJ's damaged goods, but Jesus Christ... this trash? And Haye was saying, this is a pay-per-view fight. Coming from a multi-millionaire, it may well be, if you've got money to sling around. But for most people, no. And most people paid for AJ versus White, the rematch. Not for AJ versus Chisora, who's got 13 losses on his record, who's lost God knows how many of his last 5. Is it 4 of his last 5? 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 of his last 5. And the one that he won was tenuous against Pulev. A pay-per-view, so a guy like that, who's, how old is Derek now? 38, 39, 40, something like that, late 30s, in against AJ, you know, come on, man. I mean, this whole thing is an absolute clusterfuck, and terrible, terrible black eye for boxing, it really is. But it'll be interesting to see if Hearn did know anything, because if he did, all that cheeky chappy stuff, all that, I'll be your best mate, and look at me, I'm on the cover of GQ, and I've got my book out, and all that stuff, and look at me, oh, Frank Warren is the old guard, you know, he will have been found out to be as odious as Frank Warren, and my God, that's saying something. To carry on selling pay-per-views, if he knew, to carry on selling tickets, if he knew, disgusting. But we'll see, I could be wrong. I'm not making statements, I'm just saying, perhaps he's innocent, good old Eddie. Butter wouldn't melt, who knows? I don't know. Thoughts below, as usual, I'll answer them. And yeah, let us know what you think. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit the like button. We'll speak again soon, bye for now.